Are you aware of the Internet of Things and what it does and how close you're connected to all of this location data? You'll find out how targeted that data can actually be. You know, the data that they can track, but they don't know who owns the data and where those locations are and who's associated with the criminal activity, right? The data that AI is using to learn and analyze, and it's all working through your cell phone? Okay, stay with me here. I'll try to be quick. The IoT is its own industry, but all throughout our communities right now are information tracking hubs. And it's AI that's listening to your keystrokes to find out your passwords. So the contextualized data from all users can be predicted as AI learns from us. And it works on a series of sensors, and then it comes through the IoT devices and your data streaming, and it's all from the user's equipment. In order for the IoT to work, you have to have Wi-Fi or be hardwired to the internet through the device. And this was a few years ago, but it's all of the smart devices. Some of them that don't even interact back, they're just collecting the data. And the IoT hardware is everywhere, connected to many trivial little things, with the main IoT devices being your connector to the internet and your thermostat. The modem is actually serving as a backdoor for the military and civil engineering systems that hook the IoT and use it through the community. And the IoT is even in your security systems, your smart locks, your smoke detectors, and your gardening systems. And here in Canada, we have regulators that control and ultimately sell the data. Canada was even unique, starting its own .ca platform. So anything that you use .ca will filter through Sierra. Canada needed its own addresses, and Sierra was born out of the necessity and now has become Canadian Internet Registration Authority. And they collect the data from the telephone and cable companies. 33 million mobile phones were hacked by the federal government for a flu. As millions go missing around the world, and the government won't lift a finger to find them. And then you look at the fraternity of police, who they're affiliated with. They're in the United States, Canada, and the UK. And we have an out-of-control drug trafficking problem. And if you've been following me long enough, you know that we have a human trafficking problem on this planet. And I don't have to be the one to remind you that they're having a really hard time releasing all of the information to the general public about a few creepy situations and fraternity members that held information and lured initiates to get information on them. We know that case is connected to some high-profile targets. And here in Canada, the police are still withholding critical documents from the Picton inquiry. The Canadian Centre for Cybersecurity has all that data. With the exception of the odd few that are found, Where is the data of the missing? Each one of these people are holding a picture of someone that's missing and most likely had cell phone data or data from the IOT attached to them. And as we approach May 5th, knowing all this, I have to ask, where's the data from these women's cell phones? If you know an official that's not doing their job or has broken the law, there is ways to have your voice heard. By filing an affidavit and swearing an oath to the justice of the peace, include evidence, it forces the court to investigate the officer or official. And in Canada, under the Privacy Act, you have all rights to access your information that the federal government has on you. And you can make a request under the Information Act. Civil disobedience is the only thing in the toolbox that's a non-violent action for those who refuse to obey a law for moral or philosophical reasons. And here in Canada, the sole purpose for civil disobedience is to fight for the protection of equality. And when it comes down to excessive force, the police are only allowed to use the amount of force to safely do their job. And you're not allowed to use excessive force unless there's self-defense and you're trying to preserve a life. And your right to self-defense is upheld solely when the defensive action taken are proportional to the circumstances. Police are not allowed to violate your Charter of Rights. This has been proven time and time again. This type of report, where in 2017, the police were allowed to break the law more than 73 times. I'm sure it's continuing. They may be able to break the law, but they're not allowed to violate your chartered right. And you wouldn't believe it, the transfer control protocol has been around since the 80s. So I'd like to know in the comments, do you think we could find missing people with their locational data? Or do you think the fraternity of police are hiding that information for their fellow fraternity members? I think you should consider making a stand and petition the right organizations. Your government doesn't care.